If you saw the video where I talked about the 10 things that I do not like about the Sportster S, you may have heard this sound before. Yes, this thing has an issue where the starter clutch is just not strong enough to turn the bike over sometimes, and it still happens to this day. 2021, 2022 models, and some early 2023 models had this issues. Everything from then on had it fixed. It's not the battery. It has nothing to do with electronics outside of the starter clutch just not doing its job. But if you hit the button one more time, and this happens at the most random, inconvenient times, you know, like after you get gas, or when you're getting ready to leave the cafe, or after you get brunch, or when you're getting ready to leave work or crank it on in the morning, or basically every chance it gets. The second time you push the button, it always starts, but the first time it doesn't, and it's rather annoying. I happen to miss the recall window for this, so we're gonna try doing this another method. The folks over at Tycool actually sent me this lithium battery. These things are beasts. Like, this is strong enough to start a car. It has 480 cranking amps, comparatively speaking to the like 250 from the original Harley battery. This thing's almost twice as powerful. So if we throw more power at this thing, do you think it'll actually still have this issue? Can we throw enough amperage at a motorcycle to overcome an issue with the starter clutch? Let's go put this thing in and find out. There's no battery in there. Yeah, this just turned into a how-to video for replacing the battery on the Sportster S. They couldn't make it simple and put it under the seat like most motorcycles. The battery on the Sportster S, and I believe the Nightster and the Pan America as well, is actually in there, in this black hole that I am sure is way too dark for you to see. It is underneath the radiator in front of the oil cooler next to the brake lever. So now we actually have to take off all of the lower fairing, remove all of the lower fairing, remove the rectifier and put it forward, and maybe we should be able to get around the coolant tank. I don't remember if we have to take it off specifically because I've already replaced the battery on this thing once. So time to go to town. So before we actually get started here, the only tool that you're going to need is a T30 and a Phillips head screwdriver. That's it. All right, so to remove the lower fairing, we have 4 T30s that we have to take off. One directly behind the crash bar and or the radiator if you do not have one of these. One also at the bottom, one right here towards the back case of the engine, and one at the very, very end by the rear tire. Let's go ahead and take those off. 1 out, 2 out, 3 out, 4 out. And this side should just slide right off. Also, if you ever want to take this off to clean it, because it's at the bottom part of the motorcycle, that would probably be the easiest way, because washing the bike regularly, I never actually get to this thing. But if I take it off, I can polish it and clean it and throw it back on there, and it's pretty simple. I know this shot's going to be pretty dark because it's inside the garage, but as I take parts off the motorcycle, I like to lay them down in order with the bolts here. So I'll lay the other part here, so on and so forth. That way it's nice and organized, and when I go to put it back, I just put it back in reverse order. Now the other side has a similar 4 screws, one up top under the radiator, one right here under the shifter peg. There is one directly under about the middle of the shifter linkage, and then one way in the back by the rear tire. Let's go ahead and take those off. Just kidding. There's 5 on the left side. That's 3 off, 4 off, and the last one, 5. And now the other side panel comes off. And so that I don't slow roast outside in the flaming oven that is the July Florida sun, I'm gonna move the bike to the shade. It might be a little dark, but I'll make sure that you can see it. And also don't look over there. Don't look. Those side panels came off just to get to this front one right here. We have 4 bolts, 2 on each side, 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom. Same thing, T30s. Let's go ahead and pull those off. Yeah. 1 on one side, 2 on one side, 3. And yeah, I was wrong. There's technically only 3. 2 on one side, 1 on the other. 1, 2, 3. That's the rectifier. We essentially just have to move it out of the way. It's not terrible. There's 1 screw bolt right there. And then 1 at the top, and then the one on the left side, it's actually just a little swing door, so you can just move it out of the way. And then you can actually wiggle the battery out of there. You don't actually have to fully disconnect this or any of the electronics associated with it. So let's go ahead and pull these last 2 out. As you can see, I did need a little extension just to get in there, but boom. Honestly, it's not bad that all of these are T30s. Oh yeah, and always remember to disconnect your battery before you start any sort of electrical work. 1 out. And then the other one is dead center above the rectifier right here. 2 out. Now that the rectifier is loose, all we have to do is give it a little tug, and then it is pulled forward enough for you to see the battery. As you can see, battery's right here. It does slide forward and you can take it out. I do still need a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the posts on negative and positive on either side. I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick since this is a little bit more cramped. I don't know if I'll be able to get good footage, but screwdriver, take those off. Negative comes out first. Clear your cable just to make sure that it doesn't make contact, cause any sparks, or close the circuits. Then goes the positive side. With both terminals removed, slid forward and out the side. Ta-da! This is the original Harley Davidson battery that came out of this. It's rated at 225 cold cranking amps. This is the battery that it was replaced with. It is 200 cold cranking amps, but both of these have a problem that is solved by this Cool battery. And also, this is 480 cranking amps. It's literally twice the juice that both of those provide. And it has this benefit. Our fancy scale here, we're gonna weigh the original Harley Davidson battery at 10.88 pounds. So basically 11 pounds. This guy right here, 9.5. So it's actually a little bit lighter than the factory Harley battery. But this guy right here, 3 pounds. It is literally a third the weight of the original battery. So if you guys are looking for weight savings and stronger power, these things are beasts. And like I mentioned, it's 480 cranking amps. That's almost enough to start a small car. Literally, like Honda Civic batteries only have about 400 cranking amps. So if you guys are using this for other applications that aren't motorcycles, beast. All right, so if you guys pay close attention, I did have to do some finagling to make this battery work when I originally got it. Because if you notice, the pins on here are actually flush with the front of the battery, and there's a bolt hole that goes straight through the center. On this battery, the posts are a little bit further back on here, so I had to get this spacer to make it work, because in reality, most of these batteries are intended to be top posts like they are on most, instead of a little side post like this. So I had to come up with the spacer to get it flush with this. But if you pay attention to the Cool battery, it actually does have both, but it's a solid metal post. It's right here in the front. It's nice and flush with the front of the battery. And if you need a top post orientation, it's there too. Now, what I don't know is some of the other bikes, like my Magna, have a weird like clamp that goes like this. It may not be wide enough, or it may be too wide. This post may be too wide to fit that. So in other applications, I would definitely suggest making sure that this is the right size. I will tell you, on top posts like the Magna that have a kind of C looking shape, you can actually make those wider and other things fit, but Harley just uses a strange post design where most will work with this style. This is just a little bit different. This works perfectly with the Harley design. Now let's go ahead and put this thing in. All right, so putting the battery back in is very similar to how we took it out. Essentially, you just go ahead, slide it back in, which is significantly easier because this bike, this battery is 6 pounds lighter than the battery that came out of here, which is freaking ridiculous. But slide it in. The battery sits exactly in the same tray. It is the same exact size. I forgot to mention that as I was comparing them side by side, but every single dimension for this battery is exactly the same. It's not any taller, wider, longer, any of those things. It does come with the included hardware with an extra screw. Now we take our positive terminal, put the screw in right here. I usually like to have the driver right here just so it's easier to go, because if you try to do this with just your hands, you kind of run out of a little bit of space. But lock it in. I will tighten this down with a 10mm just because of the size of my Phillips head, but that is nice and snug for now. And now we're gonna go back and put the negative post. I'm gonna fish this from back here. Boom, here we are. Now put the screw through the eyelet. You can hear stuff clicking, the fuel pump priming, things moving around, just because everything gets power as soon as you connect your battery right back. Lock it in. Again, I'm gonna go through with a 10mm and lock those in, but for the sake of the video, we're gonna continue with the next steps. And everything goes backwards. So now we're gonna lock this back into place, make sure that we get our two T30 Torx. One's on the right side next to the brake lever. The other one is up top, just over the dead center. All right, so before we move on and reassemble the lower fairings, let's go ahead and crank the bike and just make sure that everything's working before we reassemble everything. Now here's the real test. First crank. Will it stall or will it actually turn over? Let's find out. I gotta hurry this up because, yeah, welcome to Florida. It rains at like 2 o'clock basically every single day in the summer. But I don't know if you guys realize this. That weird whining sound that you heard before the motorcycle started was a situation in which the bike would not have started because the starter clutch is too weak to grab hold and turn the engine over. This thing just brute forced a defect on the motorcycle. This thing has enough juice to overpower a bad starter clutch. That is wild. I genuinely did not expect that to happen when I started making this video, but I said, let's go ahead, give it a shot. I know that these batteries are very powerful, so we'll see how it goes. Now, my next question that I will not be able to answer today is how long will it last? I kind of have an idea because my VFR actually has a lithium battery, which I've had that bike for basically 5 years now, and I've never had any issues with it. So hopefully this will have an equally long life just like that. But the fact that this thing was able to overpower a bad starter clutch or a weak starter clutch by just throwing enough juice at it to turn it over is freaking impressive. So far, obviously, first crank, no issues. Let's go ahead and throw the fairings back on and take the bike for a spin and see what happens if that doesn't happen. All right, so in the reverse order of how we installed this thing, we're gonna go back on. We have one screw over here on this side, two on the right side. You don't have to do anything the way that I do it, but what I personally like to do is to hand tighten everything first, just to make sure that they're all there, all in line, all squared away, and then I'll come through and lock all of them in place. That way I know that everything's lined up, all my screws are in place, and then I'll go ahead and give them the final tight. So I'll go ahead and do 3 or 4, never mind. I'll go ahead and do probably 2 or 3 turns, make sure that it's in place even though it's loose, get all my bolts lined up, and then once all 3 bolts are in place or all of the bolts are in place, I will go ahead and give it a final lockdown. So this is my last bolt. Lock it in place. Then go back, retighten everything else, make sure they are all nice and snug. Now the side panels are gonna be exactly the same way. The one on the left side has 5 screws. The one on the right side, ow, has 4. Same thing, I'm gonna go ahead, line it up, hand tighten these, make sure there's about 2 or 3 in there. All right, there we go, now I can speak. Hand tighten them, make sure there's 2 or 3 in there, that way it's held in place. Hand tighten the rest of them, and then go ahead and fully lock all of them down. Now, left side, right side, whichever one you put on first, it doesn't really matter. They're both independent from each other, so it doesn't matter. The most annoying one is this one, because it's directly under the shifter linkage. Now, time to lock them all in place. The hardest part about this job, specifically a today thing, is just standing up and sitting down, because I love leg day. Standing up and sitting down hurts. If you guys go to the gym and love leg day too, comment below. Let me know. Say, I love leg day. And if you're commenting on your phone, you can do that leg emoji. I love leg day. So 4 bolts, nice and snug. Then we'll go ahead, lock them in place, and then we'll crank the bike again and let it run. Ta-da! So before we finish this video, it's not actually over. I do need to actually test this thing for a few days and see what actually happens. But on that very first crank, which is the one that usually doesn't start, it usually starts on the second crank, it just brute forced it. I'm actually fairly impressed with how powerful this battery is and the fact that it was able to do that. Now let's see if it lasts a little bit longer. I have about 14 days with this thing before I have to release the video. So I'm gonna go ahead and test this thing a few times, see how it runs, see if I run into any issues, see if I run into any no crank situations. But so far, first impressions, this battery is powerful. That is absolutely ridiculous that it can compensate for a mechanical defect in the motorcycle. But these things are not perfect. There are a couple of things that you do need to know beforehand, and they are, please understand that these lithium Tycool batteries are slightly different than your traditional acid batteries. There's a liquid battery acid in there. They work a little bit differently. And then most motorcycle batteries, like the original one out of the Sportster, is a gel battery. Similar technology to the acid, but it's just a gel, so it doesn't make the weird sound. When you go test these things, the traditional testing methods won't work. And then if you need to charge this battery, it is slightly different. There's a specific charging method. This is why they sent out this extra charger, because a traditional 1 amp, 2 amp, 4 amp, 8 amp trickle charger will not work on these. They have a little bit higher voltage, and the way that these things make power is just a little bit different. So if you do get one of these batteries, just make sure you have the correct charger so that you don't fry it and melt it, because sometimes these things end up like this. Not this battery, of course. Those are just early generations of lithium technology from 5 or 6 years ago, but it is something that did happen. Now the bike's been on and warm for a little while. This is the start where it usually doesn't have any flies in its face. No whine on crank, no issues there. That's just a normal start. But I will tell you that the bike does turn over significantly faster than it did at the beginning. It literally is just like a 1-2 crank, and it continues to turn over very, very strong. So the power difference from this battery is actually pretty ridiculous. I'm thoroughly impressed. I really didn't think it was going to be able to overturn a weak starter clutch, and it has. Now, I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to see how to fix the low speed handling on the Sportster S, check out this video right here. Now, one more time for the road.